Welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, and transformational coaches being the change they seek in the world. If you'd like to be featured on our podcast to share what you're contributing to making the world a better place for us all, please go to www.jointheuworldorder.com. Be sure to like and follow our podcast for the latest episodes. Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast. I'm your host, Jill Hart, and with us today is Ciara Lewis. Ciara is a medical billing and credentialing consultant. She offers billing and credentialing services to medical and behavioral health providers. She is launching a new webinar series to help fight the challenges providers are facing within their practices, and she's the podcast host of the brand new podcast, Talk Billing with CNT. Welcome to our podcast, Ciara.
Oh, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. I'm really glad to have you here and to talk all things billing, medical billing with you. So how did you get started in that?
Actually, I originally went to school for like physical therapy. Had some health issues, so they pretty much told me that would be a waste of time. So we switched professions. I then tried to go for like medical assisting. That also didn't work. So then that's how I kind of found the medical billing and credentialing. So I've been doing that for probably the last 12 years, if not a little bit longer. I did start out within doing kind of like medical assisting, some office management, that sort of thing. Like I said, my health kind of took a toll on me. So now here I am. I started my own practice, or not practice. I started my own business at the end of 2019. I pretty much seen a bigger need for, yes. Yes. I seen a bigger need for what was going on, issues that providers were having that weren't getting addressed within inside the practice. Pretty much the 9 to 5 people just being there to clock in, clock out, get their paycheck, not doing anything much more than that. And I mean, I guess that can be expected at times, but I've just always been that person. I like to go the extra mile. I'm very detail oriented, and I take my job very seriously. So I love what I do. I probably do it way too much. Drives my mom and them crazy at times. I have tried to cut back a little bit and make more of a schedule to where I can fit other things in, to where it's not just like constant work around the clock. But yeah, so that's how I got where I'm at today.
Awesome. So do you mainly actually do the medical billing for companies, or do you teach people how to do medical billing? Do you go in and work with medical billing facilities? Do you work with individuals who are, I'm just like, clue me in.
I do it all. I have done a mixture of all of it. The funny thing is, when I first started the company, I really wanted it to more so be more of a consulting business. Unfortunately, a lot of people realized that I actually knew how to do the job, and had a lot of experience in doing it. And so what happened was people started asking me to just take on, the billing or the credentialing full-time or part-time. And so pretty much that's basically what I do now for the most part. Every now and then I will get a couple of consulting clients. I have gone in offices before and helped, clean up or, give them like a systemization to help make things go smoother. I do training, provide educational tips, and now we're, like I said, launching our first podcast and working on our webinars.
That's exciting.
Yes.
That's really exciting. So do you actually have a credentialing course that you offer, or is it more like a coaching session? How does all that
We're
look?
trying to get the actual course set up. What I've been doing in the past, just until I get it, because I mean, there's so much into it. It's been very hard and challenging actually trying to get the course set. But what I've been doing in the past is pretty much just walking people through it, or providing them guidance as they go through it. But yes, we are in the process of getting that set up to where we have like a, we're actually also trying to publish an ebook for it as well. But yes, we are trying to get the course set up too.
So you're not only looking to work with medical providers, you're also looking for people that want to make some income from home. So as a medical billing expert, is that
I
fair?
mean, yeah, I've had people like I said, I've had different walks of life reach out. I have had people reach out that are wanting to learn the billing aspect of it because they're a biller themselves, or providers wanting to learn the billing end of things. Like I said, I've also walked people through the credentialing steps, and not all the time are they providers. They just may be somebody who's looking to get into the field to be able to assist the providers.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's different ways we can go about it, but yes, I target those type of people as well.
Interesting, interesting. So when you talk about credentialing, do you have to have like a special certification in order to be a medical billing
Not for
expert?
credentialing, you do not. I mean, there are ways to get certificates for that, but
Mhm.
it's not something you necessarily have to do credentialing. So plus
So
credentialing is something that,
what is credentialing?
So credentialing is basically where we get you connected with all the insurance panels in network to where you can take your client's insurance. Of
Mhm.
course, if you're not in network, then you either cannot take the insurance or they have to pay an out of network rate. So that's what we do.
So you help providers become in network for more and more different insurance
Yes.
companies as they come online.
Yes.
Um, oh, that's fascinating. So you're kind of on the cutting edge with all of the insurance companies as well as the medical providers.
Yes.
Hmm, interesting. That's a lot.
It is.
Do
It's a
do
challenge. There's some days I wake up and I'm like, what was I thinking? And then, I start talking to my clients and I'm like, okay, I remember now why I signed up to do this. So yeah, it's a challenge, especially because it changes constantly. Um, it's getting a little bit tougher out there because, the insurance companies are no longer wanting to perform like they were before. And it's starting to cause a lot of issues. It's now making a lot of our providers want to go to private pay, which is throwing off the balance. So eventually we're going to have a major domino effect. And I'm really nervous to see where that's going to take us if we don't get a fix here soon, because we can't keep going at the rate we're going. And of course, it all ties back to the insurance companies not doing what they're supposed to. They don't want to pay the providers. They, want to make you jump through too many hoops to get a network or to get paid. And it's getting to where it's not worth it.
It's really interesting. I know from experience or from just watching what's happened in the medical communities where you've got more and more demands being
Mhm.
made on insurance companies for claims because people are needing more help, and yet the rates are going up and people are just like they're not able to either pay for the insurance or be self-pay because it gets there's a whole different game that needs to be played, and it
Yeah.
comes down to being a game. The insurance companies play their game, medical billing facilities are playing their game, and they're all trying to like vie for a very limited amount of funds, which is like the consumer's money.
Yes.
It used to be insurance companies would charge you a rate, which was it was reasonable. It
Mhm.
wasn't inexpensive. When I was young, it was actually kind of inexpensive in that you paid a percentage and your employer paid a percentage,
Yes.
and that was super manageable. But it's just like gotten way out of control, and then it was like 80/20, and now it's pretty much whatever anybody else can squeeze out of you. And you can't figure out, the law is that
Uh-huh.
they're supposed to tell you what stuff's going to cost
Uh-huh.
before you have the procedure done, but it's really hard to get that information from providers. They're supposed to give it to you, but
Yes.
they don't.
Yeah. And like I said, it's every day is a challenge. But that's another reason why I went into it, is because I love a challenge, but it's definitely becoming way more challenging than I think any of us ever imagined that it could be. Like you said, it's a game, and it's not just one person playing a game or one. It's like each piece has um their own game, shall we say, like their own motive, and it's really affecting all of us more than what we can see, because no one is actually stopping to look at that bigger picture. They're just too concerned about their game board and not understanding like this is a bigger matter than just your game. So that's a lot of what we are, going to be diving into within the podcast and the webinars, and just trying to help people get through these challenging times and that sort of thing, and figure out ways to get through it.
Yeah, it really impacts all of the healthcare profession. I mean, when we as individuals go to the doctor for whatever reason, your quality of care is impacted by all of these financial shenanigans that are happening behind the scenes
It
that
is.
a lot of people just aren't even aware of. They
No.
they think I'm going to go and I'm going to get like the best answer for my problem, and it doesn't really happen that way. And so they want you to do all these tests, and the tests can vary in price depending on where you're going. And you really can shop for the best price out there. I found this doctor that he's an independent,
Uh-huh.
which is really rare these
It
days.
is now, yeah.
And we're self-pay.
Uh,
So he gives us places where we can go, where we can get incredible deals
uh-huh.
on things like MRIs. Like I paid $400 for an MRI.
Oh, that's good.
I've paid like thousands of dollars for
Right, for
MRIs
MRI.
before,
Because it's
but
great. It almost doesn't even make sense to have insurance anymore, is how bad it's getting. And
yeah,
that's part of the problem. The economy's part of the problem. Like I said, them not wanting to pay the providers for what they're worth is part of the problem. Making all these providers go private pay, but knowing that the economy is not stable enough to hold up private pay for so long. I mean, right now, sure, there might be people that can afford it, but what's going to happen in a couple of months, or when inflation takes another rise? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to be in trouble, and no one's looking at that. I mean, people
you
right now
know,
are be, uh-huh.
I actually have a solution to this problem, which I'm just going to put it out there. And one possible solution is there are medical conglomerates in almost every community where they um, partner with the hospital, the local hospital, and they have a network of doctors. They could provide insurance for the people in the community. You pay every month, you pay them 300, 500, whatever they feel they need in order to be able to provide you with the best possible care they can provide you with. And there's, it's like a dentist, like dental insurance. You go and you get certain things are free throughout the year, so that you can catch the big things before they become really expensive things. And
Yes.
then there's a tiered level of pricing for,
Uh-huh.
this suite of services costs X number of dollars. They do it with maternity. You can know, okay, I'm gonna pay $10,000 to have this baby in this hospital, and if I'm paying out of pocket, this is how it's going to go, and these are the programs that are out there to help support it. If they did something like that, rather than these blanket insurance companies that are playing all these games, and they're really investment firms more than insurance companies. People, 401ks buy into these insurance companies so that they can get a big return on their investment. So they're more beholden to the people buying their business than
Uh-huh.
they are to paying the claims for their people that are part of their insurance that they're insuring.
Yes.
It, it's
But
crazy.
I actually partner with another company that actually does something similar to that. It's like a health share,
Mhm,
but it works better than any other health share that I've ever come across. And it makes way more sense to me.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, we're hoping to come up with a couple of projects within the next year as well. But yes, that is definitely one way we can defeat the system. Like I said, it's just going to take everybody to try to get on a similar page or the same page or do something, because if not, we're all going to end up being in trouble. It's going to break, and we'll probably
It's already broken. It's just how
Mhm.
we are going to recover from the brokenness of it. And people don't trust doctors anymore, and for
Nah.
whatever reason.
Mhm.
And it's almost always personal. They've had a personal experience with some medical facility or some doctor in particular or another. And so they don't trust the information that they're getting there. And so it makes all the problems even worse. I do have I do MediShare.
Uh-huh.
It's
Uh-huh.
a Christian medical sharing community, and it's like catastrophic insurance used to be. I pay I self-pay for everything up to, I think it's $2,500 now. Could be three. It's always going up, but um and it's not real cheap, but it's
No.
not hugely expensive. I can afford it at this point in my life. But they 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 take care 100% of anything over that amount per per incident is what they
Uh-huh.
call it. But so if I came down with cancer, I wouldn't lose everything.
Right.
But if I've got like something that I can't identify what it is, or I've got a cold, or I you know break a bone or something that's not going to cost that much money to get fixed or set, then I'm I'm going to be paying for that myself.
Yes. And it's, I don't know. I think the the issue you were also just discuss. I think a lot of reason why we're starting to see all these cases where a doctor misdiagnosed this patient, or a doctor fraudulently done this or that, is one, because doctors are literally trying to find loopholes to get paid more by the insurance companies, which is ridiculous, because again, it's putting us as the patient at risk.
Mhm.
It's putting themselves at risk, and it's not benefiting anybody. And then, I think we're also seeing doctors make more mistakes because, like I said, and like you just said, they're so worried about what's going on in the background, all the financial noise and issues and denials and this and that, that they can't really focus on the patient or the surgery or whatever it is that needs to go on. And that's causing a part of the problem too. And this is why we're starting to see a lot of the independent practices go away, and people are going into the hospitals now.
Mhm. They have
So
to. And the
yeah.
hospitals aren't paying them enough
Nope.
to support the debt that
No.
they have to sustain just to become a doctor. I mean, it's not cheap to become a medical professional to begin with. You spend years and you go into like hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, and you're
Mhm.
not making that much.
No.
I mean, you only have certain number of hours you can work each day, and they're paid by the hour too.
Right.
So and they're expected to meet quotas,
Mhm.
and it's really stressful. So their quality of life is very poor. So they've got all of this stress on top of them, and
Mhm.
then they're supposed to be helping you. The medical profession is one of the top professions as far as suicide rates go. People, they're leaving in droves, they take their own lives, they're universally unhealthy human
Mhm.
beings because of the conditions that they work under, and they're not allowed to share information that falls outside of the medically regulated guidelines. So if they took nutrition training, they
Uh-huh.
can't come into the office and say, hey, I know if you cleaned up your diet and addressed, X, Y, and Z, that would probably help your problem. Instead, they have to prescribe a drug, or they have to tell you that you have to have surgery and all of these things. It's like there's an old song was called Alice's Restaurant by Arla
Uh-huh.
Guthrie, and they talk about all the cops showing up with their cop equipment, and they want to use all their stuff because it was the crime of the century where they were litter bugs. I just get that impression anytime you walk into one of those medical facilities, it's just like, oh, we got to use all of our really
Yeah,
expensive
those.
equipment on you and charge you for it
Yes.
outrageously.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
if your insurance company won't pay us, we're going to charge you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Never mind you spent, thousands of dollars in some cases on insurance to take care of this.
Yeah, it's sad. And um I even do patient advocacy. Now I've not got to advertise that a whole lot, which that's something I definitely want to do a lot more of, but I have helped, a couple of patients out with, understanding their bill or fighting something that, shouldn't have been on there,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So I do that as well because, yeah, a lot of times people, they don't even know what they're getting billed for, what they're paying for, or if they even should be paying it, or, any of the above. I had a couple people come to me like something from the hospital, and they're like, I didn't get a flu test or this or that, but yet it's on there. So then we had to go back and, you know, get it taken off or appeal it. And um there, you just never know what's on there, especially if you don't know what you're looking at. And like I said, a lot of times people don't, and they just go by what's on the paper, and that's it. My poor mom does the same thing. Like, she's like, oh, if you didn't know what we were doing, there's no telling what I'd be paying these people, because it's been wrong so many times. I'm like, why you didn't go for that? Why is this on here?
And then they put codes. So you
Mhm.
really can't know what it is. It's like it's a secret. And people don't realize that when you take these tests, you're entitled to get a copy of the test.
Oh yeah,
Like I had an
absolutely.
MRI done and I have a little CD. I discovered some things that they didn't even mention.
Uh-huh. Yep, that's it too. And like I said, I think this comes circling back around to, like you said, people are getting to where they don't trust the doctors anymore, or um, they don't want to go. And I think that that's eventually going to cause a whole nother problem, going down a whole nother loophole, because I think this is when we're going to start to see, either more people dying because they're not going to the doctor,
Mhm.
um, more cancer or more diseases popping up because people are not being properly taken care of or going to get the proper treatment. Because yes, people are getting to where they do not want to go to the hospital or the doctor or get this test or that test.
And it becomes an emergency when
Yes,
people end up going. And
yes,
and then it's way more expensive for everybody. The
yes.
hospital, the patient, and the outcomes are much poorer than if you had some conversation with a medical professional and you took personal responsibility for your medical care.
Hmm.
It's you are in charge. And
Yeah.
most people look at the doctor and think, oh, this guy, he's got a white coat on, therefore he must be a magician and he can make me magically well. And I don't have to take responsibility for changing any of my behaviors. He's just going to give me a little pill and I can just continue on down the path that I've been going down that led me to this place.
Mhm.
And that doesn't work. You
No.
have to take personal responsibility for your health.
Yeah. And
And
honest, I think another thing that and again, the reason I can speak on this is because, like I said, I have the background in the medical field and I've seen it
Mhm.
happen. So many times people will go and they'll just pick up their prescription and pop it in their mouth. They don't
Yep.
read the instructions, they don't read the side effects, they don't see if it coincides with something else that they're taking. Because although, yes, you think your doctor would make sure of that and would tell you that, you would be surprised how many don't actually check your medication list when they're giving you a new medication, and they don't make sure that it's not coinciding with something, and they just prescribe it to you anyways.
They never say, okay, come back in X number of days. Let's see how this is
Yeah,
affecting
it's
you.
work. Uh-huh.
It's just like send you off. I had a doctor prescribe something to me that for IBS.
Uh-huh.
And it was it made me so loopy by the third day I
What was
couldn't
it?
actually get out of bed. I, I don't remember what it was. Um I shouldn't have been driving on it
No.
at all. And um yeah, it was just like I could not function at all. Never said anything to me about what it was or how it was going to affect me, or then I didn't read this stuff. I mean, it's pages and it's tiny print.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I think we've been taught from little on that if the doctor says, or you should trust the doctor, or the doctor knows, and that's not the case. The doctor is not always on our side, especially nowadays. Like, it's worse now than it was then. And
Mhm.
you know, that's the other thing is I just wish people knew how to advocate more for themselves, and would stop being so afraid and intimidated when they go to these offices. And like you said, understand that we are in control. It's not the doctor. We get the final say so. We decide if we
We're
want to.
hiring them.
Yes. Whether we take that surgery, whether we take that pill, they don't, they just make the recommendation. We don't have to take it.
Mhm.
I've even gone as far as starting to get back into like, herbal medicine and, you know, things like that, because it actually works. If you look and you figure out the right ones, and I mean, you have to be careful with it too. You can't just go taking it. I mean, especially if you're taking
And
other medication.
yes.
But I mean, there are some that you can substitute or that actually do really work. And I have noticed a change with it. And now I don't have to take half the prescriptions I was taking before, because that's what they want, is you to keep taking them, keep coming back, keep putting money in their pocket. And half time it's not working, or it's just causing you to have a whole nother symptom that you got to fix.
And for the love of God, if you're on
Medicine.
pharmaceutical medication, go and meet with your doctor at least every 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
at least, and have them go through everything that you're on and do the blood work.
Yep.
If you're going to go that route, it's so important.
It is.
My dad, he's
Mm-hmm.
88 and he has congestive heart failure. He has a doctor that he has on retainer and
Uh-huh.
has a really good relationship with this guy. And he had a cardiologist who told him to take Eliquis. That's a blood thinner.
Mm-hmm.
And he was taking it, but he fired that cardiologist because the guy over medicated him and he passed out. And so my dad is not a shy retiring person, so he said later, dude. you know
Oh, wow.
um and but he was still taking the blood thinner,
Uh-huh.
and it was causing him to bruise
Yes.
really
Yep.
badly. And he went back to his doctor that he has on the retainer, and the doctor's like, well, maybe you shouldn't be taking that because obviously it's not doing what it needs to do. Had my dad not had the doctor that's on the retainer, but like most people, he got pissed off at somebody, and so he's not going to the cardiologist who originally put him on this thing.
Uh-huh.
So nobody's monitoring the results. I mean, that's how you get internal bleeding,
Right.
and you
Well,
end up
yeah.
dying from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like properly prescribed, properly taken pharmaceutical drugs is one of the leading causes of death in this country.
It is. Yep. And like you said, and I think that doctors nowadays too are also not doing follow-ups like they should, because like you
Mhm.
said, if you're on certain medications, a blood pressure, a water pill, a blood thinner, anything of those type of diabetics, you definitely need to be
Yeah.
followed up at least every 3 to 6 months. Just to have that checked. And some of those may even require like once a month to go get checked, you know, depending on how severe it is. And if you're not doing that, then like you said, you've got a problem. And I pretty much tell my doctor, I will decide when I come in here and see you. Like, I don't think 6 months is good enough. I think I need to be seen before then. So I will make my appointment. Um,
Mhm.
like I said, we just have to learn how to advocate for ourselves and speak up. And, you know, like I said, I'm just lucky because I've been in the field, I've seen it, I know how it works. Everybody doesn't have that advantage and that knowledge. So I know when to question something, or, you know, when something's not right or whatever. A lot of people don't.
Mhm.
But I feel like if we don't start asking questions or doing better, you know, we're just harming ourselves. We really are.
And you need to get those results from those tests and look it up for yourself.
Yes.
The doctor can say, oh yeah, you fall within the averages. Well, the averages is average of sick people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Averages mean something. When they tell you something, your blood serum levels or whatever,
Uh-huh.
there's a meaning behind that. And you need to look it up and see what's considered normal and
Right.
what's considered optimal. They aren't the same. And you just, that's again taking personal responsibility for your health. You're paying to have these tests. You're paying for this information. Use the information to help yourself and don't
Yes.
just depend on somebody else who's going to look at it quickly.
Right.
They're not personally invested in the results. They don't, honestly, they don't care whether you live or die. So, you know,
Exactly. And I can't tell you how many times like people will go get blood work and you just wait and wait and wait. And the whole time it could have been something urgent. That's what happened to my aunt. That's how she found out she had breast cancer was, she had went to go get, I guess, her test or whatever.
mhm.
No one had followed back up with her until like, I guess, last minute. And the next thing you know, she's got like stage 2 or 3 breast cancer. Like, I'm sorry, how did we miss this? I just came, because they're just not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's what it boils down to. And it's sad.
It is
Sad.
sad.
Scary.
And because doctors are so overworked and underpaid and
Mhm.
they have to work harder, they're showing up
Yeah,
less
agreed.
and
They're
less
burned out.
and they're burned out. And so the staff, and in
Mhm.
a lot of cases, you're getting physician's assistants. You're not actually even getting doctors in
Right.
there, which are just pretty much glorified nurses.
Yes.
So not anything against nurses, that the nursing staff is being overworked.
Yeah, they're exhausted.
Hmm.
They're exhausted. And it's just messing with the full functioning of care to where you can't get what you need or what you're supposed to because everybody is so exhausted or they're focused on something else. And I feel like since COVID, everybody has something more going on now than they did before. Family problems, financial problems, like marital problems, like you name it, it's something. And so that's already taken off focus from people going into work. But then you get into work and you're working in an environment that is just like, what am I working for? What's the outcome? Where's the good? Um,
Hmm.
it's hard.
It is
It
hard,
is. It's very hard.
but you provide a bright light in all of this darkness.
I try. I do.
You help healthcare providers and medical providers be able to navigate the issues between insurance and getting paid so that they can actually stay in business.
Yes.
And also you help people in that if they're looking to get into a career that has lots of up potential for them. Being a medical billing specialist it's a lucrative career and it's an honorable profession. And a lot of times you can do it from home.
Yes.
It's one of those things you could be a mom or a wife or have other things that going on in your life, but you can do it in your spare time, depending on, the size of the company. And you also, from time to time, help patients who are struggling with
Like,
their medical bills understand what they're looking at and how to find the information that they need in order to figure out what their bill's all about. Because yeah.
yeah, they don't know. I know. But yeah, I have, you'd be surprised of a lot of the providers that open these practices or go into practice and they don't even know. And I'm like, how did you even manage to open a door? Like, I don't understand because half of them don't know what their MPI is or how do you go and get it or, the codes that they're just sitting here billing. And I'm like, did you even know what you were billing or what the requirements were for you to do that? And they don't understand. So that's another thing that I do is I provide, like I said, the educational background and knowledge to help them understand and know what they're billing, what they're supposed to get when they bill this or how it works and that sort of thing.
That's awesome. So how do people get in touch with you if they're fall into one of these categories?
You can reach me on my email at kllconsultingllc@gmail.com or my website, which is klconsultllc.com. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, should be KL Consulting LLC.
Awesome. So this has been an enlightening conversation, Ciara. What's the one thing you hope the audience takes away from our conversation today?
Pay attention, advocate for yourselves, and just know that it doesn't have to be as rough as what we're making it. And you are in charge at the end of the day.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the U World Order Showcase podcast. Remember, if you would like to be featured on this podcast as a life, health, or transformational coach, please visit www.jointheuworldorder.com. We look forward to talking to you next time as we present another life, health, or transformational coach being the change they seek in the world.